The 2002 National Electrical Code, specifically Article 600.6, addresses disconnect requirements for signs. It's important to clarify that the code does not mandate the disconnect to be physically located on or inside the sign structure itself. The primary requirement is for the disconnect to be readily accessible to qualified personnel. This accessibility clause is crucial for ensuring safe maintenance and servicing of the sign. Readily accessible, as defined by the NEC, implies that the disconnect must be reachable without the need for actions such as climbing on the sign, removing obstacles, or using tools to gain access. The disconnect should be operable from a standing position or easily reached from ground level or a readily accessible platform. The emphasis on qualified personnel signifies that the disconnect is intended to be operated by individuals who possess the necessary skills, knowledge, and training to safely work with electrical equipment. These individuals are typically electricians or technicians who are familiar with electrical safety procedures and the specific hazards associated with sign circuits. The disconnect's function is to provide a means of de-energizing the sign's electrical circuit, allowing qualified personnel to safely perform maintenance, repairs, or inspections. By opening the disconnect, the flow of electricity to the sign is interrupted, minimizing the risk of electrical shock or other hazards. The location of the disconnect should be chosen strategically to ensure that it is both readily accessible and provides a safe working environment for qualified personnel. It should not be located in areas that are prone to flooding, excessive moisture, or other environmental conditions that could compromise its functionality or safety. It's also important to consider the physical layout of the site and the potential for obstructions that could impede access to the disconnect. In summary, the 2002 National Electrical Code allows for the sign disconnect to be located remotely from the sign, provided that it is readily accessible to qualified personnel and can be operated without requiring them to climb on or otherwise access the sign. The purpose of this requirement is to ensure the safety of qualified personnel who may need to work on the sign's electrical circuit. Remember to always consult the latest edition of the National Electrical Code in any applicable local codes or regulations for the most up-to-date and accurate information on sign disconnect requirements. It's also advisable to seek guidance from a qualified electrical inspector or engineer to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and standards. The disconnect needs to be rated appropriately for the voltage and current of the sign circuit. This ensures that it can safely interrupt the flow of electricity in the event of a fault or of a load. The disconnect should also be listed or labeled by a recognized testing laboratory indicating that it has been tested and certified to meet applicable safety standards. Proper labeling of the disconnect is also important. The disconnect should be clearly labeled to indicate its purpose and the sign that it controls. This helps to prevent confusion and ensures that the correct disconnect is operated when necessary. Regular inspection and maintenance of the disconnect are essential for ensuring its continued reliability and safety. The disconnect should be inspected periodically for signs of damage, corrosion, or wear. Any damaged or defective component should be replaced promptly. The disconnect should also be tested periodically to verify that it is functioning properly. This can be done by operating the disconnect and verifying that the sign's electrical circuit is de-energized. If any problems are detected during inspection or testing, they should be addressed immediately. The National Electrical Code is a comprehensive set of standards that covers a wide range of electrical installations and equipment. It is important to be familiar with the NEC requirements that apply to signs and to ensure that all sign installations comply with these requirements. Failure to comply with the NEC can result in fines, penalties, and other legal consequences. It can also create a safety hazard that could lead to injury or death. In addition to the NEC, there may be other applicable codes and regulations that govern sign installations. These may include local building codes, zoning ordinances, and fire safety regulations. It is important to check with your local authorities to determine which codes and regulations apply to your specific sign installation. When designing and installing a sign, it is important to consider the environmental conditions to which the sign will be exposed. Signs that are installed outdoors may be exposed to rain, snow, wind, and sunlight. These environmental factors can damage the sign's electrical components and reduce its lifespan. To protect the sign from the elements, it is important to use weather-resistant materials and construction techniques. The sign's electrical enclosure should be designed to prevent water from entering and damaging the electrical components. The sign should also be properly grounded to protect against lightning strikes. The selection of the appropriate type of disconnect depends on several factors, including the voltage and current of the sign circuit, the environmental conditions, and the specific requirements of the installation. Some common types of disconnects include fused disconnects, non-fused disconnects, and circuit breakers. Fused disconnects provide overcurrent protection in addition to disconnecting the circuit. They are typically used in applications where the sign circuit is susceptible to overloads or short circuits. Non-fused disconnects simply provide a means of disconnecting the circuit without providing overcurrent protection. They are typically used in applications where overcurrent protection is provided elsewhere in the circuit. Circuit breakers are another type of disconnect that provides both disconnecting and overcurrent protection. They are typically used in applications where space is limited or where it is desirable to have a single device that provides both functions. The installation of the disconnect should be performed by a qualified electrician in accordance with all applicable codes and regulations. The electrician should ensure that the disconnect is properly sized for the sign circuit and that it is installed in a safe and accessible location. The electrician should also test the disconnect to verify that it is functioning properly before energizing the sign. Regular maintenance of the disconnect is essential for ensuring its continued reliability and safety. The disconnect should be inspected periodically for signs of damage, corrosion, or wear. Any damaged or defective component should be replaced promptly. The disconnect should also be tested periodically to verify that it is functioning properly. If any problems are detected during inspection or testing, they should be addressed immediately. Proper documentation of the sign installation is also important. This documentation should include a wiring diagram, a list of all electrical components, and a copy of the inspection report. This documentation will be helpful for future maintenance and repairs. In addition to the disconnect requirements, the National Electrical Code also contains requirements for the wiring of signs. These requirements cover the type of wire that can be used, the size of the wire, and the methods of installation. It is important to comply with these requirements to ensure the safety and reliability of the sign's electrical system. The NEC also contains requirements for the grounding of signs. Grounding is the process of connecting the sign's electrical system to the earth. This helps to protect against electrical shock and other hazards. It is important to ground the sign properly in accordance with the NEC requirements. The NEC also contains requirements for the overcurrent protection of signs. Overcurrent protection is the process of protecting the sign's electrical system from overloads and short circuits. This is typically done by using fuses or circuit breakers. It is important to provide adequate overcurrent protection for the sign's electrical system in accordance with the NEC requirements. The NEC also contains requirements for the marking of signs. Signs must be marked with certain information, such as the voltage, current, and wattage. This information helps to ensure that the sign is properly installed and maintained. It is important to mark the sign in accordance with the NEC requirements. The NEC also contains requirements for the installation of signs near flammable materials. Signs must be installed in a safe location away from flammable materials. This helps to prevent fires. It is important to install the sign in accordance with the NEC requirements. The NEC also contains requirements for the installation of signs in wet locations. Signs that are installed in wet locations must be designed to withstand moisture. This helps to prevent electrical shock and other hazards. It is important to install the sign in accordance with the NEC requirements. The NEC also contains requirements for the installation of signs in hazardous locations. Hazardous locations are locations where there is a risk of explosion or fire. Signs that are installed in hazardous locations must be designed to be explosion-proof or intrinsically safe. It is important to install the sign in accordance with the NEC requirements. The National Electrical Code is a complex document, and it can be difficult to understand all of the requirements that apply to signs. If you have any questions about the NEC requirements for signs, you should consult with a qualified electrician or electrical inspector.